Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me again today. Today, I got something special for you all. Oh, yeah, we're going to talk about some freaks, not just any old freaks. We're going to talk about a super freak. You know where he at? He hails from Buffalo, New York, and his name is James Johnson Jr., born February 1st, 1948. Now, who could Miss Indy possibly be talking about? None other than Rick James, bitch! James began his musical career in his teenage years. He was in various bands before entering the U.S. Navy Reserve to avoid being drafted into the Army. In 1964, James deserted to Toronto, Canada, where he formed the rock band The Minor Birds, who eventually signed a recording deal with Motown Records in 1966. Now, James's career with the group halted after military authorities discovered his whereabouts, and eventually they convicted him and sentenced James to a 1-year prison term related to the desertion charges. After being released, James moved to California, where he started a variety of rock and funk groups in the late 1960s and early 90s. By 1978, James was on fire and on the map, baby. He released an album entitled Come Get It, and that also included You and I and Mary Jane. And in 1991, James released his most successful album entitled Street Songs, which included career-defining hits such as Give It To Me Baby, Give It To Me Baby. Y'all remember that? Hey! And none other than Super Freak, the latter song becoming his biggest crossing over single, mixing elements of funk, disco, rock, and a new wave. But it didn't stop there. James was also known for his soulful ballads, such as Fire and Desire and Ebony Eyes. In addition, James also had a successful career as a songwriter and produced for other artists, including Tina Marie, the Mary Jane Girls, The Temptations, Eddie Murphy, and Smokey Robinson too. Rick James' mainstream success had peaked by the release of his album Glow in 1985. By the early 1990s, Rick James' career was hampered by his drug addiction, and he was embroiled with legal issues. In 1993, James was convicted for 2 separate instances of kidnapping and assaulting 2 different women while under the influence of crack cocaine, resulting in 3 years at Folsom State Penitentiary. Now, Rick James was released on parole in 1996. He then released the album Urban Rhapsody in 1997. But Rick James' health problems halted his career again after he had a mild stroke on stage during a concert. This, he announced his semi-retirement. In 2004, Rick James's career returned to the mainstream culture after he appeared in an episode of The Dave Chappelle Show. This resulted in a renewed interest in his music, and that year he returned to perform on the road. Unfortunately, Rick James died later that year from heart failure at the age of 56. In November 2020, James's estate confirmed the sale of a 50% stake in his publishing and masters catalog to the Hypnosis Songs Fund, founded by a Canadian music industry executive and entrepreneur. Thank you so much for joining me today on this Life of Rick James. I'll see you guys next time. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Talk to you all later.